red-tailed hawk.
Wow.
Red-tailed hawks are pretty darn common around Minnesota. We see lots of them. And what's really fun though is when we get to catch adults, because adults tend to be a little bit wilier, a little more suspicious, and a little harder to catch than the youngsters at our banding station. So when we see these birds in flight, the field marks that we look for are this dark spot from the shoulder to the bend of the wing. That's called the patagial mark. We look for this dark comma here that we call the comma. And we also look for the dark speckled belly band. So this comma can be kind of hard to see when you have them in the hand, but when they're in flight, if you kind of squint your eyes or blur your eyes here, you'll be able to see that becomes a little bit more apparent, and it's much more obvious from a distance. Red-tailed hawks inhabit most of the United States. I don't know of any place that doesn't have red-tailed hawks. Perhaps the most famous red-tailed hawk that people are aware of is one that they call pale male, who nests across the street from Central Park. And he's got a movie made about him, and he's got all kinds of people that come from all over the world to watch him. And he's become kind of a celebrity. This bird is wild. We have a banding station here at Hawk Ridge. This bird was on its migration journey, came along, flying along, saw a wide open field that had what looked like injured birds in it, but really what it is the lures that we use to bring them down into our nets, and then we get them, we net them, weigh them, measure them, put a band on their leg. So you can see this band on this bird's leg. It has 9 digits stamped in it. There's no other bird that has that band number. And so it has the 9-digit number in it. We report that to the bird banding laboratory, and then if this bird is ever caught at another site, then they report that band number to the banding lab as well. And then both the original bander and the person who finds it again gets a notification of when and where that bird was recaptured or refound. Having the bird in this position gives us a chance to kind of look at the talons. You can see how big those talons are. This is the working end of the bird. I'm not so worried about the beak and getting bit, but we do not ever lose sight of where these feet are. The feet are mechanically controlled with tendons, and so it's not just that they have muscles that hold them shut, but they are actually kind of locked shut once they're shut. So I don't really want that getting into me. You can see how long their back talon is. This is called the hallux or the halix, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And that back talon is great for when they're pursuing their prey and coming up from behind. They can kind of sink that one in and get the rest of them into their prey. Also, when the bird is sitting like this, you can see the scales on its legs and feet. Those are called scutes, and they're protective. They protect the bird from its prey because the prey will fight back and bite the legs and feet. So they're just kind of they're like this fingernail material.
They seem so docile. I mean, how is it that they're just being so mellow?
Red-tailed hawks are great. they're very, well, he's not. If I were to let go, he would take off. If I didn't keep control of the feet, he would foot me. But part of it is that bootios are just very quiet and mellow birds to handle. The other part of it is that this is something that I do all the time, and so it's receiving really quiet energy from me.
Sure. Okay.
So, not that I don't find this exciting, but it doesn't quite, I don't get shaky anymore. And
Beautiful.
yeah, they're about twice as much as that.
Yeah.
What would that be? About 3 to 4 feet?
Yeah, pretty big.
Are you excited, Hayden?
And then when I've got them like this, sometimes we can get a nice view of the tail.
Oh, is that beautiful?
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's in color shirt.
John, you should get a tail like that.
Try to grow one. Beautiful.
Oh.
I'm looking at the condition of the tail feathers, trying to figure out if this bird has completed its molting or not. It doesn't. So oftentimes when they're soaring overhead and the sun shines through, you can just see that the tail is glowing pink. On a young bird, this year's young, the tail would not be red. It would be kind of more brown and cream colored, a barred tail. Can you show me your wings this way again? You can see how wide their feathers are. These birds are just designed for catching the wind. They can float on very, very little current at all. Red-taileds don't necessarily need to do a long distance migration. They only have to go as far as it takes to find the food that they need to survive the winter. So they may end up in the central U.S.